They never hated you for what you did. They envied you for who you are. From the very beginning, you walked into the room, and without saying a word, you unsettled something deep inside them. Not because you were loud, not because you demanded attention. No, it was because your presence carried weight. Your silence spoke louder than their screams. And even though they smiled at you, something in their spirit flinched when yours came near. That was the first sign. You were different. You were chosen. Chosen ones don't fit in, not because they're trying to stand out, but because their very essence refuses to be dimmed. And that light, your light, is divine. It's a frequency this world rarely sees. You don't just illuminate, you expose. You expose fake love, you expose hidden agendas, you expose the discomfort people feel when truth walks into the room dressed in skin and humility. That truth is you. But let's be honest, being chosen isn't glamorous when you're living it. It's isolating, it's painful, it's the lonely road with no applause and too many betrayals. They turned on you, didn't they? The ones you would have gone to war for, the ones you held space for in silence, the ones you prayed for even after they hurt you. They were the first to mock your pain, the first to mimic your energy and pretend it was theirs. They stole your phrases, your presence, your creativity, but they couldn't carry the weight of your spirit because imitation has no soul, and that's where they failed. You see, people saw your light before you even understood it. They recognized the oil on your life, the divine protection, the uncommon favor, the wisdom beyond your years. But instead of honoring it, they tried to replicate it. They watched you rise from brokenness, and instead of learning from your strength, they tried to manufacture your essence. But what's manufactured will always malfunction under pressure, and you were forged in fire. What they envy, you earned through scars. They didn't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep, begging God for clarity, for peace, for strength. They don't know how you had to pull yourself out of depression, battle anxiety while smiling in public, or carry the weight of your family while they tore you down. They didn't see the private hells you walked through with no one but God. They saw your glow and assumed it was effortless, when in fact, it was war. But here's the mystery. You didn't just survive the war, you became the weapon. That's why your existence disturbs people who are still pretending to be whole. You mirror back to them what they've been avoiding in themselves. They study your light because their soul craves what yours already carries. And instead of honoring you, they try to become you without the transformation, without the process, without the purification. They want your harvest, but they didn't endure your wilderness. And some of them tried to dim you. They whispered lies about you to others, hoping to poison the perception people had of you. They played the victim while you stayed silent, trusting that God would vindicate you in due time. And let me tell you, He will. Because when you're chosen, your silence speaks louder than their accusations. Your integrity becomes your armor, and your purity confounds their plots. But here's what you need to understand now. Your light is not random. It is sacred. It's not something you put on. It's who you are. You've been set apart, not because you're perfect, but because you're purified. You carry something ancient in your spirit, something that echoes heaven's frequency. That's why you've always felt out of place, because you weren't made to conform. You were born to awaken others, to ignite transformation, to shift atmospheres just by showing up. And now your spirit is starting to remember. You're not confused anymore. You're awakening. You're seeing people and situations for what they truly are. You're realizing who has genuinely loved you and who was just feeding off your light. And it hurts to see clearly, but that clarity is your crown. That clarity is proof that heaven is preparing you for elevation. You're not imagining things when you feel the tension rising around you. You're not paranoid, you're discerning. That heaviness you feel isn't depression, it's spiritual labor. You're birthing something that cannot be copied, something that cannot be stolen. You are becoming, and the divine has been watching. Every silent battle, every moment you chose peace over revenge, Every time you forgave when you had every right to walk away with bitterness. Heaven took notes. The angels have been dispatched on your behalf. And those who tried to mock you, those who built platforms off your pain, those who tried to mimic your mantle, oh, they are about to witness what happens when God fights for the chosen. This season you're entering, it's not about proving them wrong, it's about proving God right. Everything that was stolen from you is being restored, not just returned, but multiplied. Because God doesn't just restore what was lost, He upgrades it. The betrayal birthed your discernment, the isolation produced your anointing, and now the same people who laughed at you will be forced to watch you rise into the very thing they tried to fake. But hear me, don't become bitter. You were never meant to carry resentment, only revelation. Let their envy be your confirmation. Let their mimicry validate your originality. Because the truth is, you're not just chosen, you're necessary. Your voice is needed. Your story is sacred, and the world is about to hear it in full clarity. So hold your head up. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're not lost. You're being led. The light they tried to steal is about to blind them, not because you're trying to shine, but because you were always meant to. And now it's your time. They tried to bury you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. You've walked through fires that were meant to consume you, storms that should have drowned you, and betrayals sharp enough to slice through bone and spirit. Yet here you stand, not only alive, but stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever before. You didn't come out untouched, but what you carry now is weightier than the wounds. You carry revelation. You carry resilience. You carry proof that the hand of God is still very much alive in the earth. They tried to break you in ways that no one saw. You were battling demons in silence, smiling through warfare, holding back tears while being everyone's strength. Your life became a battlefield, but one where you never got to rest. You were misunderstood, accused, abandoned, and while others had people to run to, you had to learn to run to God. And in that secret place where no validation could reach, where no applause could distract, you were forged into something unshakable. That's the part they'll never understand. They mocked your fall, but they forgot who was holding you. You weren't falling apart. You were falling into place, into the arms of a divine strategy, into the hands of a God who never wastes pain. The suffering wasn't for nothing. The rejection wasn't random. Every closed door, every lost friend, every attack on your character, it was all part of the refining. Because chosen ones don't rise through comfort. They rise through crucifixion. And now the ones who plotted in the dark are starting to panic. They're watching you rise, confused, unsettled, disturbed, because they thought they had silenced you. They thought the rumors they spread would define you. They thought your kindness made you weak. But what they didn't count on was God stepping in. What they didn't know is that you were never walking alone. He saw it all. Every whisper, every betrayal, every smile that hit a dagger. And while you were being tested, He was taking notes. You didn't have to retaliate because heaven was building a case. A divine reversal has already begun. And the same mouths that spoke curses against you will soon be silent in awe of how you rise. You never had to fight dirty. You fought with grace. You fought by letting go, by trusting God to handle what your hands couldn't touch. And that's what makes you so powerful. Because when you surrendered the battle, heaven picked it up. And now your enemies aren't dealing with your words, they're dealing with divine justice. Let me tell you something that may sound unbelievable right now, especially with all the weariness you've been carrying. Your elevation is already set. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The time is being ordained. And while it feels like you've been delayed, you've really been prepared. That frustration, that waiting, that was God stretching your capacity for what He's about to pour out. Because what you're about to carry would crush someone without your endurance. But you've been tested, you've been trained, and you've passed silently what others would have failed publicly. That's why the mimicry stings so much, because they want your crown, but they refused your cross. They mimic the fruit, but they never sowed the seed. They post the glory, but never endured the breaking. You know the cost. They only know the image. And when pressure comes, they collapse, because there's no substance beneath the surface. But you've been built brick by brick in truth, discipline, and fire. Your glow is not aesthetic. It's earned. Your presence is not hype. It's holy. And now even those who mocked you secretly watch you. They watch your strength, your voice, your choices. They mimic your language, your wisdom, your energy, but they can never duplicate your spirit, because your light didn't come from the world. It came from the divine. It came from those nights when you asked God to change you, not just bless you. It came from the prayers no one heard, the healing no one saw, the growth that happened when everyone else walked away. You became the blueprint while they were busy comparing. You became the standard without asking to be. Because chosen ones don't follow trends, they awaken truths. And your very existence calls people higher. That's why you trigger them. That's why they gossip and mimic and try to compete. They're not really fighting you. They're fighting what your light reveals in them. And they don't even realize that by trying to be like you, they're confessing that something in you is greater than what's in them. But let me tell you what's coming. Restoration. Not just in the physical. Restoration of your peace, your clarity, your inner strength. God is bringing you into a season of divine compensation. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't lose for no reason. There are rewards attached to every silent endurance, every test you passed when you could have retaliated. And when the tables turn, it won't just be about vindication. It'll be about revelation. People will see why God kept you hidden, why He didn't let you compromise, why He told you to stay quiet when your flesh wanted to speak. Because what's coming won't just restore your name, it'll elevate your purpose. So don't worry if the applause hasn't come yet. Don't be discouraged if people still misunderstand you. Your validation was never going to come from the crowd. It's coming from the throne. God is about to speak on your behalf in a way no man can deny. He's about to make you a living testimony, a walking prophecy. And those who thought you were finished will watch you rise with glory that no one can imitate. They'll wonder how you did it. They'll try to recreate your journey, but they'll never understand. It wasn't talent, it wasn't charm, it wasn't connections. It was the anointing, the unseen oil, the grace on your life, the divine hand that molded you in silence and raised you in obscurity. And now the world will see what heaven always knew. So don't dim your light. Don't shrink for their comfort. Don't apologize for what God has placed inside of you. You were born to break chains, to pierce through darkness, to awaken souls. Strength in your soul and heaven on your side. What they thought was your downfall was actually your preparation. And now comes the divine reversal. There's a shift in the spirit. Can you feel it? The atmosphere around you is changing. Doors are opening that no man can shut. The justice of God is moving like a mighty wind, and you, chosen one, are about to be publicly lifted. Not for ego, not for vanity, but for glory, God's glory. He's about to use your life as a stage to reveal what happens when you endure with righteousness, when you walk with integrity, when you hold on to the divine while the world tries to rip you apart. They whispered lies, but truth is a force that can't stay buried. And the truth is emerging like a lion waking from slumber. The truth of who you are, the truth of what you carry, the truth of everything they tried to erase. It's all rising. And those who once spoke your name with disdain will now speak it with awe, because when God prepares a table, He doesn't do it in secret. He lays it out in the presence of your enemies, not to shame them, but to show them what favor looks like when it's untouched by bitterness, when it's clothed in grace, when it's bathed in humility. Your table is being set right now, not just with restoration, but with reward. They watched you weep, but now they will watch you win. God is not just balancing the scales. He's turning the entire system upside down. The ones who schemed, who slandered, who tried to step on you to elevate themselves, they're being exposed. Not because you asked for it, but because heaven demands justice. And justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like peace that doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's joy where there should be bitterness. Sometimes it's your elevation in the exact environment where they hoped to see you fall. You are the reversal. You are the divine contradiction. You are the evidence that no plot of man can cancel the plans of God. So don't be surprised when people start reaching out, apologizing, trying to check in. Some won't even know why. They'll feel drawn to your light again, not out of love, but curiosity. They'll want to understand how you made it through what should have destroyed you. And you won't even have to explain. Your presence will speak volumes. Your calm will be your clapback. Your peace will be your power. This is the hour where God starts vindicating His chosen publicly. The masks are falling. The hidden intentions are being revealed. The very ones who mimicked you, who tried to steal your essence, who copied your voice and claimed your ideas, they're unraveling under the weight of their own deception, because false light can't sustain in real darkness. And you've been through enough darkness to glow without effort. Let that sink in. Your glow is earned. It's been refined through pain and patience. You've been polished by heartbreak, shaped by silence, and crowned by obedience. That's why no one can steal your position. They might try to wear your coat, but they weren't built for the mantle. They might talk like you, walk like you, even dress like you, but they don't carry the same spiritual blueprint. They can mimic your movements, but not your mission. And now the mission is awakening. You're beginning to see why you were set apart, why the road had to be so lonely, why the betrayal had to hit so close to home. Because God needed you to know that your foundation wasn't in people, it was in Him. He removed every crutch, every distraction, every false support, until it was just you and Him. And in that quiet place, you became unshakable. Now you're rising, not with noise, but with clarity, not with arrogance, but with authority. You've been approved by the one whose opinion matters most. And that approval is unlocking doors, divine alignments, and sudden breakthroughs that have been delayed, but never denied. You've entered the hour of recompense. This isn't just restoration, it's divine payback. For every tear, joy. For every loss, gain. For every mocking voice, a silent witness to your rise. And as this unfolds, you must remain rooted, because the attention that's coming may be overwhelming. The favor may attract new envy. But now you know better. You've been trained for this. You won't shrink again. You won't question your worth again. You won't beg for a seat at tables you've outgrown. Instead, you'll build your own. You'll lead others out of their confusion by simply standing in your truth. Your life will become a mirror for those who forgot their power. And when they look at you, they'll remember who they are. That's the impact of a chosen one. You don't just survive, you awaken. And yes, the mimics may still follow. They may still try to recreate what you carry. But by then, you'll be operating at a frequency so high, they won't even be able to keep up. Because your path isn't about competition. It's about contribution. Your spirit was not born to compete. It was born to create, to heal, to awaken, and no mimic can outshine what is divinely ordained. So walk boldly, speak freely, forgive deeply. Let your rise be radiant. Let your healing be holy. Let your peace be powerful. And don't wait for permission anymore. You are the permission. You are the sign. You are the proof that God still moves through people, still speaks through pain, still exalts the humble and corrects the proud. Your life is a divine announcement. That light still wins. And if you're still healing, still waiting, still hoping, don't worry. You're not behind. You're in process. God never forgot about you. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. What looks like delay is often divine choreography. He's making sure your enemies are in the room when the crown is placed on your head. So hold on, speak life, stay ready, because what's coming will not only restore everything they tried to take from you, it will establish you in a way no one can question. You're not just rising, you're being revealed. You've probably asked yourself, why me? Why all the betrayal, the isolation, the strange resistance from people who barely even know you? Why do some seem threatened the moment you walk into a room without you even saying a word? The truth, chosen one, is both simple and profound. Your light disrupts darkness. Your presence interrupts spiritual sleep. And in a world addicted to illusions, your authenticity is dangerous. But to understand why the attacks happened, you have to understand a deeper spiritual law. Light always draws both seekers and shadows. When you carry divine energy, when your soul radiates something eternal, people are drawn to you. Some come for healing, some come for inspiration, but some come to destroy what they don't understand. Some come to feed off your glow while secretly hoping to extinguish it. It's not personal, it's energetic, it's spiritual, and you must stop expecting human behavior from those still ruled by the wounds in their soul. You've been chosen not just to shine, but to expose, and exposure is not always welcome. Your very being reveals what others are hiding. Your joy unmasks their bitterness. Your clarity disturbs their confusion. Your inner freedom threatens their self-imposed chains. And because they can't match your elevation, they try to manipulate perception to make others believe you are what they secretly fear you are not. Ordinary. But ordinary could never describe you. You are the paradox in their world, the silent thunder, the gentle warrior. You love deeply and sense even deeper. You can walk into a room and instantly feel what's not being said. You don't just hear words, you read vibrations. That's not just sensitivity, that's spiritual intelligence, and most people aren't ready for it. This world teaches people to perform, to conform, to fit into safe molds. But chosen ones, we were born to break the mold, to dismantle the illusion, to be the interruption in generational curses, in cultural programming, in systems of fear. And that is why the attacks intensified every time you grew closer to your truth. Every time you elevated spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, there was backlash. Because you weren't just healing yourself, you were destabilizing everything built on illusion around you. That's what they feared. Not your power, your clarity. They knew once you saw through the mask, you'd never bow again. And when a chosen one stops bowing to falsehood, strongholds start to collapse. And people don't like to lose their illusions, especially not the ones they've built their identity on. So what did they do? They tried to mold you into something else. They said you were too much, too quiet, too intense, too soft. Really, they were just trying to make you dim your light, to make them feel better about their own shadows. But your soul refused. Even when you tried to blend in, something in you kept rising, that inner knowing, that inner light, the voice that whispered, "This isn't who you are." And now you see it clearly. The attacks were never about weakness, they were signs of your power. No one throws stones at an empty well. The reason you were targeted is because something in you triggered something deep in them. And instead of healing, they projected. Instead of learning, they judged. Instead of growing, they copied. But mimicry is not mastery, and copying your essence will never grant them access to your calling. That calling on your life is ancient. It stretches beyond this moment, beyond this lifetime even. You carry something generational, something prophetic. You were born to shift atmospheres, not blend into them. And yes, that has made the path harder, but it's also what makes your victory inevitable. Because this journey was never about comfort, it was about becoming, about awakening. And now you're not just aware of who you are, you're aware of who they are. The veil is lifting, the false friendships, the hidden envy, the ones who only clapped when you were struggling, but went silent when you started to rise. You're seeing clearly now, but don't let clarity make you bitter. Let it make you wise. Let it show you where to plant, where to prune, where to protect your energy, and where to pour it freely. Because here's another spiritual paradox. Those who once attacked you helped activate you. Their betrayal unlocked your discernment. Their lies sharpened your voice. Their rejection made you run to God, and in that running, you found yourself. They meant it for harm, but heaven used it to mold a warrior out of you. So no, you don't need revenge. You already won. And perhaps the greatest paradox of all is this: the more they tried to steal your light, the more they revealed their own emptiness. You never needed to retaliate because your growth is the loudest answer. Your elevation is the response. Your peace is the victory. Let them talk. Let them mimic. Let them misunderstand. While they're busy trying to replicate your light, you're out here evolving, creating, healing, loving, walking in your calling. And every step you take forward is a reminder that the divine does not forget. You were chosen for a reason, and no amount of envy can cancel that anointing. There's something powerful happening in your spirit now. A new depth, a new grace, a new assignment. You've been through the fire, and now you're being entrusted with a greater level of impact. You're not the same person who cried in the dark. You're not the same soul who doubted their worth. You've been awakened, transformed, and now you are being revealed. Your mission, it's not just to shine, it's to ignite, to lead others to their truth by embodying yours, to be the evidence that one person aligned with heaven can disrupt the patterns of an entire generation. You're not just here to succeed, you're here to shift timelines, to walk as prophecy fulfilled. And yes, it's a lot, but the weight of your calling is perfectly matched with the strength of your spirit. You're not overwhelmed, you're being expanded. And soon, everything that didn't make sense will start to align. The connections, the doors, the resources, the clarity, all of it is coming. Because when a chosen one walks in obedience, the universe rearranges itself to support them. So trust what you're becoming. Trust what you're leaving behind. And trust that the same force that carried you through the storms will now carry you into divine alignment. Because the light within you is not just for you, it's for the world. And now, more than ever, the world needs what only you can bring. Look at you now. After everything, after the heartbreak, the confusion, the quiet betrayals and silent battles, you're still here. But not just here, you're rising, not just standing, but you're radiating. And I need you to hear this in your spirit. You didn't survive for no reason. You didn't walk through the fire just to come out smelling like smoke. No, you came out carrying the flame. You are the chosen one, not because you asked to be, not because you were born into the perfect life, not because you were the strongest or the most celebrated, but because your soul said yes to a calling most would have run from. You endured the weight of rejection and still chose love. You walked through valleys of confusion and still chose faith. You lost people you thought would be there forever and still chose to rise without bitterness. That is the mark of the chosen, not perfection, not applause, but obedience, alignment, purpose. The light inside you was forged through everything they couldn't see. And that's why they envy it. That's why they mimic it, because they see the effect, but not the process. They hear the echo, but they've never survived the silence. They want the crown, but they never stayed faithful during the crushing. But you did. And now the winds are shifting. You've been faithful over little. You're about to be ruler over much, not because you're chasing glory, but because glory follows those who walk with God. The anointing on your life is not for popularity, it's for purpose. It's for the ones watching you in secret, the ones who've been told they're too broken, too different, too strange. Your light is showing them what's possible when you don't fold. You are the evidence that divine timing is real, that favor is real, that what's meant for you can be delayed, but it cannot be denied. Let that truth wrap around you now. Breathe it in. You don't need to fight for a seat at their table. You are the table. You are the space where healing begins, where truth lives, where light sits unbothered. Stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Stop offering yourself to spaces that can't hold your energy. You've outgrown their cages. You've transcended their expectations. And you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. Your existence is proof enough. What you carry is sacred. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. It doesn't demand the room, but it transforms the room. That's why they watched you. That's why they copied you. Because deep down, even your critics knew you were touched by something divine. And now the divine is calling you higher. It's time to walk boldly. Time to release the remnants of fear, of shame, of hesitation. Everything you went through prepared you for this next chapter. The breaking shaped you. The silence trained you. The mockery purified you. Now you are ready to be seen, but this time through spiritual eyes. This is not just your season, it's your era. No more shrinking, no more explaining, no more waiting for validation. You are walking in the authority of your assignment, the assignment to heal, to lead, to awaken. Your voice is needed, your story is needed. Your light, your pure, untouchable, God-given light is needed now more than ever. And yes, you will be misunderstood, but that's no longer your concern. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be obeyed, to be aligned, to be led by something higher than applause and safer than people. You're here to embody purpose. So take a deep breath, stand tall, lift your head, and remember who you are. You are not broken, you're becoming. You are not too late, you're right on time. You are not forgotten, you're divinely hidden. You are not weird, you're wired differently for a reason. You are not rejected, you are redirected by heaven. And now heaven is saying, go forth. Speak without fear, move without apology, shine without shrinking. Let the mimics do what they do. Let them copy the surface. You, chosen one, you carry the source. Let those who laughed now witness. Let those who doubted now watch. Let those who tried to destroy you now see what happens when God builds what man cannot break. You are walking into rooms that were closed to you for years. You are receiving blessings that were held until you healed. You are unlocking promises that waited patiently for your maturity. And this time you'll know who belongs with you and who doesn't. This time you'll honor your peace the way you once honored your pain. This time you'll protect your light, not hide it. You've earned this. You've waited for this. You've grown into this. So here is your call to action, your divine instruction. Be who you are, not who they told you to be, not who they projected onto you, not even the version of you that survived, but the version that's thriving, the one who knows their worth, the one who understands their light is holy, the one who no longer fears being seen because they're no longer afraid of shining. This is your permission to live fully, to walk freely, to love deeply, to trust again, not in man but in the plan, because your steps are ordered, your path is protected, your rise is prophetic. And if you ever forget who you are, just remember this. You are the chosen one, and the light within you was never meant to be hidden. Let it shine. Let it guide. Let it transform the world. Farewell for now, but not goodbye. The world hasn't seen the full weight of your radiance yet, but they will very soon.